Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
What's good, hip hop? I just want to start off this episode with a quick verse because I'm feeling hip hop today. This is our season finale for A Tribe Called Quest. And one of my favorite verses from Q-Tip the Abstract was on Excursions on the Low End Theory, that album right behind me that you probably can't see. And the whole album starts out with back in the days when I was a teenager, before I had status and before I had a pager. You can find the Abstract listening to hip hop. My pops used to say it reminded him of bebop. That is our introduction into A Tribe Called Quest. Thank you guys for listening and tuning in and watching us this week. Such a great season that we've had. And we are ending things off with, as I mentioned, one of my favorite hip hop groups, A Tribe Called Quest, which consists of Q-Tip, the late great Phife Dawg, Ali Shaheed Muhammad, and Jerobi, all friends from high school, from Queens, New York. And that's going to kick us off for our episode today. And of course, I brought back one familiar face and one unfamiliar face, which is good. So the familiar face is my brother Matt. So let me bring them both in real quick. So Matt Dalby is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. So Matt, what's good, my brother? What's happening? You can bring yourself in. What's happening, bro? What's good?
What's going on, man? Everything.
Glad to have you back on the show, man, for the fourth time, man. Come and making another appearance. I appreciate it, dog.
Yeah, first appearance 2021. Happy New Year.
First appearance, Happy New Year to everybody, no doubt, no doubt. And then we have a new face, Samantha Leavell. Now, let me give Samantha a quick introduction because you all have probably not have heard Samantha, and that is probably on purpose, like I talked about with Kinfolk last week. Because what Samantha does is she is what I consider a media specialist. So she writes columns, she writes articles about artists, not only about hip hop, but about all different genres of music. So Samantha Leavell, she resides out of the Seattle, Washington area. So it's kind of nice and early for her right now. However, I am bringing her up because if you all do not know about Samantha Leavell, you need to soon. You need to reach out to her because her writing is phenomenal. She does all different kinds of journalism and artistry and things of that nature. So if you need a column written, you need to reach out to Samantha. I'm telling you all right now as you're watching this. Her work is phenomenal and she has blessed our platform with being on our show today. So Sam, thank you so much, Mama. I truly, truly am humbled and appreciative for you being on the show today. So how are you feeling today? How was your new year, Ma? What's good?
Man, feeling great, man. It's been just, wonderful. Like this artist support movement has been a beautiful thing. It expanded beyond just, writing on the artists. Like, now I'm sharing their music. They're sending me their music. So it's a constant share on the social media stories. Other artists are seeing each other and collaborating now. I'm expanding to publicist work, so I can definitely do more support for these independent artists. It's beautiful. 2021 is the one. It's going to be a good year.
No doubt, no doubt. And I heard about that when you said it to me the last time. That 2021 is the one. I'm right there with you. 2020 was, you know what I mean, like one of those years where yes, it was horrific, no doubt. However, we learned a lot. We've all grown, and I'm hoping that we can heal. This is like the healing phase, I think, going into 2021. But we are starting 2021 with the ending of season 2, right? How ironic is that? So we're gonna be talking about Tribe Called Quest this afternoon. So let me run down a couple of quick accolades for the group. Their name used to be something else different, and then the Jungle Brothers, who was part of the collective of the Native Tongues, they all went to high school together, and one of the members from the Jungle Brothers said, yo, y'all should call each other you guys Tribe, and then Tribe Called Quest kind of emerged from there. So that's how they got the name. They have 1 Billboard award, they have 1 Brit award. Another hip hop group that has been nominated for 4 Grammys and does not have a win. Another tragedy, what I think, in hip hop. One-time Source Award winner, and they do have the hip hop honors from the ceremony back in 2007. And during the period of the shift, they made 3 distinct classic albums. The first one is People's Instinctive Travels and Path of Rhythm, which is the Source Magazine's very first perfect 5 mic rating. You can fact check me if you want to. You're gonna lose. It's there. So what are the things that one of the other things that are consistent is the first 3 albums all have 14 tracks. Very consistent. All 3 of them, 14 tracks even. The first one of my favorite songs, which actually came out in April of 1990, the Luckalucian. Footprints, which is a phenomenal flip on Stevie Wonder's song Off the Key of Life. El Segundo, Bonita Applebum, Can I Kick It, and Mr. Muhammad, some of my favorite tracks I pulled out from the first album. But Luckalucian, man, like, if you're a fan of hip hop, you need to go back and listen to Luckalucian. Like, that's a phenomenal hip hop song. So also got 5 mics from the Source. The second album, which is one of their most famous ones, is The Low End Theory, released in September of 1991. Another 5 mic album out of the gate. A platinum successful album. Some of the ones that I talked about, one that I picked out from there is Excursions, How I Started the Show Off, Bugging Out, Butter, Verse from the Abstract, Vibing and Stuff, Infamous Date Rape. I mean, it goes on and on. Check the Rhyme, We Got the Jazz, The What, and then the most famous song is Scenario, which I think was the birth of Busta Rhymes' solo career. Because when you hear Busta Rhymes come on the track, you're like, who is... Like, what, where did that come from? Where did they find this dude? And that was pretty much the birth, I think, Busta Rhymes' solo career. And then, of course, my personal favorite, which is why I have the sweatshirt on, is the Midnight Marauders. Now, Midnight Marauders, I'm going to be a little bit biased, you guys. Midnight Marauders is in my top 3 favorite hip-hop albums of all time. I didn't say the best, but my personal favorite, just from my catalog, because of its significance to the culture, the time of my life when I was listening to Midnight Marauders, and Matt can tell you that as well too. It's just a very significant album to me, and I wrote like pretty much the entire track list down. To me, that is an album that is no skips, 14 tracks of greatness. It is gold platinum. It did get 4 mics from the Source, and it is 51 minutes and 12 seconds of greatness. That is what I like to equate Midnight Marauders to. And I'm not even going to go through the track list. My favorite track on there is God Lives Through. I want to say Matt and Sam had the same favorite track, which was Lyrics to Go, which is another phenomenal song as well. But that is the premise of our conversation for the season finale. So thank you both for spending time with us on a Saturday, beginning a new year. And the first question I have is for the lady in the house today. And when and how did you fall in love with hip hop?
All right, so introduction, I'm Samantha Leavell. I write, artist reviews, bios, started an artist support movement, moving into publicist work, and just, continuing to support artists of all genres, because you cannot be a true hip hop head if you don't tap into other genres. That's a big thing. What got me into hip hop, being a little girl, like mother took me kind of everywhere, every little basement party, every little get together. So LL Cool J, can't live without my radio. I was like, whoa, and even being like a little kid, but like, okay, bumped into that. And then it just took off. I was kind of raised as a single child, so I'd be at home a lot, either having the radio on or the old shows, and then I would just kind of tap into, just all these, old school hip hop artists. It was, great. And I just have loved it, ever since then, ever since I was a little tyke.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I think me and my brother's story is similar. We grew up, I think our whole family was like just around music, and the way that I like to give the premise is, if you were to meet our parents, shout out to mom and dad, happy new year to you guys. If you met our mom, she's really big into like R&B, and my dad was into hip hop. So those two worlds collide, and that's where me and my brother kind of have the split. So we have, like you mentioned, love for all kinds of different genres of music. And to your point, if you're a fan of hip hop and you don't go out and expand your mind to other different types of music, you are limiting yourself. Because when you're talking about Tribe Called Quest, for instance, they have a very jazz influential sound. So if you are not expanding your mind to jazz, then you're gonna miss the whole essence of what A Tribe Called Quest was about, right? So all their 3 albums was very jazz influenced, a jazz sampling, which is an excellent point, Sam, to get us started with our conversation. And I think the first question I'm gonna ask is for my brother here. So Matt, the first question goes to you, my good sir. And I'm thinking about Tribe Called Quest, like so many good memories come to mind when I think of Tribe Called Quest. And the first question I have is, what is your favorite moment of Tribe Called Quest? So to give you a little bit of context of what I mean is, what is one of those first either songs or albums that you heard and you were like, whoa, what is this? Like, what gives you that wow factor? What was the first wow factor of A Tribe Called Quest?
You know, it was funny. I was thinking about that yesterday night, and the only thing that kept coming to mind every time I think about Tribe Called Quest is when we were watching, we got the jazz video, and at the end it goes to Bugging Out, and you have Fife come up. Everybody had those big eyeballs. And I remember seeing that when we were what 10, 12, maybe that age, and I was like, that sticks in my head to this day. I can watch that video all the time just to get to that part when he's like, microphone check, 1, 2, it's like, and the eyes were all bugged out, and he was like going like this. That's what sticks out in my head with Tribe Called Quest, man. That's what got me hooked with them, man. They just sound so different than what we heard from, like you were mentioning, what Pop's listening to.
Yeah.
They're not the rhymes were different, but the sound was different than what we're used to. Because you know, God rest his soul, Esther from Houdini. But that's who I was. You know, Houdini was who I was always. Them and Kumo DLL, but Tribe Called Quest sound just was so much different. And then that video with the eyes popping, I was like, man, I like these cats, man. These cats are good.
Yeah, I feel that. Sam, same question. What was your first wow factor of A Tribe Called Quest? When did that happen for you?
When Fife, rest in peace, Fife, and he called himself a funky diabetic. Who does that?
I don't know, man.
Their medical struggle. And he said, a funky diabetic. I was like, damn, like that to me, that was deep to me. I was like, man, okay, wow. After that, I was like, all right, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And to go along with that, if you all know a little bit more about the story of Tribe Called Quest, when Fife Dog got diagnosed with diabetes, he's wanting to quit. He didn't want to do hip hop anymore. He wanted to do music, and Q-Tip was like, nah, man, we need you. Come on, you can still do it. So that's kind of where like that premise comes from. Because if you think about their first 3 albums, Q-Tip does a lot of the rhyming, a lot of the voice you hear on the first album was more of Q-Tip. Mm-hmm. And then you hear like the emergence of Fife Dog on the second album, where like he just branches off and you hear him, and it was like the coming of age of Fife Dog is on the Low End Theory. And then you hear them both collectively on Midnight Marauders. And then you have like Jerobi. Jerobi is kind of like that silent like 4th member that kind of hung around the studio, dropped like ideas here and there, but you never really saw him. But he is a part of Tribe Called Quest. He's like one of those silent guys. And then of course, Ali Shaheed Muhammad was, helping produce the beats and things like that too. So
didn't Jerobi become a chef or something like that?
Yeah, he went to culinary art school is what he did. So yeah, he went to school. So, but when he was like going in and out of class and going out of sessions, he would come back and we'd be in the studio with him. So he's kind of like that silent partner in a sense. But yeah, man, they've influenced so much. So I'm in agreement with you both. I don't think there's ever been a sound like Tribe Called Quest. When you turn on, Midnight Marauders for the first time and you hear the lady kind of talking to you with that automated voice, you're like, yo, like, what is this? And then, you know what I mean? And then you hear Steve Bilko stir it up, and then it jumps right into the album. It's like, they thought of like little intricate things for the listener. And I even went back and dug a little deeper. And, when you think about Q-Tip and his production, he kind of stripped a lot of the sound to have a distinct sound. Like he stripped a lot of the sampling so it fits perfect. Like, and it's just crazy. And we could definitely talk about Tribe all day, but we only have like maybe 30 minutes just for our listeners, but we could definitely dive into that. So I'm gonna pass the mic over to Sam for one more question. And Sam, so when you think about artists and their first 3 albums, right? I think we had a conversation about this before we even taped. So the first 3 albums, for Tribe Called Quest, People's Instinctive Travels and Path of Rhythm, Low End Theory, Midnight Marauders, 3 classic albums out of the gate. Do you think there is another artist that has 3 classic albums out of the gate?
Like we were saying, I think Outkast would be, to me, the one. I think so. And with Outkast, they grew, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like each album, you could see the growth, like the change and in them, especially Andre, dang.
Yeah.
He went to a whole other level. So that would be, to me, I think Outkast.
No doubt, no doubt. Matt, same question, bro.
Same with Sam's. Outkast, definitely Outkast. I don't even like you can even argue their first 5 were classics.
Yeah,
they always change their sound, but I keep thinking about it. I can't say Tupac.
No, I would agree. I couldn't say Pac. I mean, long behold, long live Notorious B.I.G. I think his first 2 were classics, but his life was cut short, unfortunately. So
that's rough.
I know it's tough.
It might just be Outkast.
It might just be Outkast.
Yeah, it may be Tribe and Outkast. I can't really.
It might just be, man. I don't think there's any other artist that had their first 3 albums be so jazz influenced, jazz instinctive, and it's there. I'm telling you guys, if you consider yourself a hip hop head, you got to go back and listen to those 3 albums. You have to, and to listen to them now. And I was telling this to our guest today. Like when I went back and listened to People's Instinctive Travels and Path to Rhythm this week, like I was like, whoa! Like the sampling, like. I was like really, really blown away with Lucky Lucian, and another one was Footprints. When you hear Footprints, you're like, what? And like, who was even thinking about that in 1990? Like, who was thinking about those ideas of how to put samples and sounds together? So it's just an incredible 3 album run. And then of course, with the shift of hip hop in those mid 90s, jazz at that point, the jazz influenced sound was kind of played out, and it kind of shifts again. You know what I mean? And then they had Beats, Rhyme, and Life. They had the Love Movement, in 1998, and that's kind of where they lost a little about their momentum. But their first 3 albums solidified. No, not even a budge or a wink, I think, when it comes to that. So, go ahead, bro.
I mean, cut you off, bro. But I think why people sleep on the first one is because you mentioned it before. It was so heavily dominated by Q-Tip.
Yeah.
That you didn't. It's because I went back and listened to it too, and I was like, man, I was slipping on some of these songs because we were so used to the intertwine between Q-Tip and Fife that the first one is not. It's not like that. It's kind of like their introduction. So when you get more into the low end theorem and Midnight Marauders, then you get the more Fife, like I think Sam mentioned too, like the coming out party for Fife was low end theorem. So
yeah,
but you don't get that on the first one. So that's kind of why people don't even realize how great a CD or album that really was back then, because it was just more dominant, just one person.
Yeah, no question, man, no question. So, which leads us to our last question, Matt. I'm gonna pass it to you first, and then the lady will go last, of course. We'll let the lady have the last word, and that is final thoughts, Matt. What is your final thought about A Tribe Called Quest? When you sit your kids down and say, hey, I want you all to listen to A Tribe Called Quest, which album do you pick and which song do you start them off with?
I can honestly answer this because I did that to Isaiah, your nephew.
Okay, that's what's up.
Of course, the album I'm going to pick is Midnight Marauders because he asked me what do you and Uncle Rob listen to? Like this is what we listen to all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. Mom, Dad go bowling. We put Midnight Marauders on every Wednesday night. We did that every Wednesday night. So the song I made him listen to was Electric Relaxation, because I was like, if you want to hear a great, like what really got me and your uncle into like really hip hop, even though there's a lot of other songs, this song, this is your daddy's personality, like just the flow of it. Like you never see daddy get too hype, you never see him get too low. I'm just even killing. That's the song I made him. Not Lyrics to Go. Lyrics to Go get me hyped up. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But Electric, that's a smooth song. And I told him the reason why I said that because that shows you a team dynamic, because they play off each other so well with that song that's what you call a hip hop group who knows how to like rap to their own, like rap to each other's own language. Like, cause Q-Tip's flow is really smooth. Fife is a little bit more hype, but they mash it well together. And I said that's what you gotta listen to. If you want to listen to hip hop, you have to listen to that song for Tribe Called Quest.
No doubt. I got a backstory about that song too, Ben, but I'll get to that here at the end. No doubt. Excellent choice. Sam, same question. So when you sit your young ones down, or anyone that has never heard of a Tribe Called Quest, right? So you sit them down and say, look, these are their first 3 albums. I want you to choose. I'm going to pick this album and this particular track to start you off with the Tribe Called Quest's journey. Which one do you choose, and which track do you choose?
All right. So I have, both 2 girls, 17 and 8, and they're very artistic. They like their various artists. So Midnight Marauders, first of all, to me, that's one of the greatest album covers ever created.
No doubt.
Who does that? Who puts people who are not even on the album, like just artists, and say, let me get your faces on my, who does that? So that was pure just hip hop genius support to the next level. Yes. And as far as the song, man, my lyrics to go. I love my Penny Riperton. The girls on that mini, man. I remember when I first heard that, I was like, oh my God. And the echo they did on her, oh man, yeah.
Yeah. The sample is dope. I just like when Q-Tip's like, wait, shh, I think somebody shitted. You know what I mean? I guess that would be me because I'm the only one MCing it. Like, like, it's just so much fun, man. Like, I agree with you guys. Like, I love Midnight Marauders. We can harp on it all day. But the backstory about Electric Relaxation, which I think is, so when you think about perfect hip hop songs, I hate to use that word so loosely, but I think Electric Relaxation is a perfect hip hop song. Like, I really do believe that. Like, when you think about it, when you listen to it, you put it on, you're like, it just takes you to like a whole nother universe. You can put that song on and close your eyes and you can hear the musicality in that. And sonically is just so mesmerizing, man. And the reason why I was going to tell you this, Matt, about the backstory about that, when they was writing Electric Relaxation, so Fife and Q-Tip wrote each other rhymes and then switched them. That's why it flows so well together. Yeah. So, they wrote each other's lyrics and said, you know what? I think it'd be better if you said this and I said this. So they say they wrote their own lyrics and then they switched them. So basically, Q-Tip is writing Five Dog's verse and Five Dog is rhyming Q-Tip's verse. That's why it comes together like so smooth. So I had to give you a little bit of backstory on that, man. But yeah, that's why that song is so perfect, man. It's dope, man. It really is dope.
And that's what I mean. That's the perfect example of being a group. Like I can write. I wrote my lyrics, but it sounds better if you say it.
Yeah. Exactly. You sacrifice your sound for the good of the project. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I think that's dope. But ladies and gents, it is time to wind down season 2. My goodness, man, like it has been such a roller coaster 15 weeks. I will save the last, but I'm going to, as always, as we have been doing, paying homage to those that have lost their life due to social injustice with the hooded salute one last time. And I have a list here that I definitely want to shout out at the end. So with that in mind, look at Sam, I gotta get all that hair underneath there. I got that, Sam.
I know all this hair.
Hey,
gotta tuck that in. I feel that.
Yeah. There we go.
So with that in mind, Sam, who are your shout outs going to this week, my lady?
Shout outs to just the family, shout out to Hash and OG Tech, like people who are in the town who have just been, representing and, still loving hip hop and just, sticking to their creativity.
Word. Shout out to OG Tech. Shout out to One Team, One Mission, that whole entire movement. I'm glad to be a part of that movement. And yes, great things to come in 2021. And Sam, this will not be the last time we see you on this podcast. So we definitely want to have you on in the future. And thank you for providing such a introspective journey of the Tribe Called Quest with our fans today. So truly appreciative. Matt, who are your shout outs going to, man? It's your 4th time on the show, man. The first time you tripped up a little bit there, dog. So you get a chance.
Hey, we don't bring that up no more. We don't bring that up. Ain't gonna be in trouble, man. We don't bring that up. All right.
Shout outs, homie. Who you shouting out, bro?
Shout out to the wife, Joe, my kids, Izzy and Isaiah. Shout out to the show. Got my hook.
Word, Diggie. I was gonna say, stand up so the people can see that sweatshirt real quick. That's a dope ass
here we
sweatshirt.
go.
I like that, dog. I like that, dog. I like that, man. I don't wonder where you got that from. You know what I'm saying? I like that, dog.
Oh yeah. I got fun. Diggy A too. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no family discounts either, man. Hey, I'm a port the biz. I gotta give one shout out because, like you said, I've been on the show 4 times. My boy Jason Salisbury,
Word.
celebrated his 41st birthday yesterday, but I want to give him a good shout out and shout out to his wife Marissa and a newborn baby. Well, not born yet, but expected to come in the March or April time. So,
Word. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to Aunt G as well. Happy birthday as well, Aunt G. But my shout outs are really long, you guys, so bear with me a little bit here. So I just want to give you and the audience a little bit of perspective of how important this season has been. So this season started on September 29th of 2020, and now we're ending, which will be Tuesday's date. I want to say is January 5th. So you're watching this on January 5th. So this has been 15 weeks of episodes in a row, and a lot has happened in 15 weeks. So first off, I want to give a quick hip hop shout out to Shabba-Doo, who was Ozone from the movie Breaking, who lost his life, a huge pioneer and just street dancing, breaking, hip hop. When you think about hip hop in the 80s, you think about Turbo and Ozone. And Ozone lost his life this week. So shout out to Ozone and what his contributions were to hip hop. Shout out to MF Doom, who lost his life as well too. So 2 hip hop pioneers we lost just recently. So I definitely want to give our condolences from this platform to those 2 great pioneers. And with our Hood Salute we've been doing for season 2, I thought about this as I was putting this together, that I wanted to do something for social injustice. But in the period of the shift between September and January 5th, we've lost a few more lives that I do want to recognize on this platform. So, of course, the major ones that got the most publicity was Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, all of those that lost their life in 2020. But there's a few others that were not recognized. I do want to read their names off so they get their recognition and due diligence for us to do more in social injustice. So their names are Marcella Sinnett, Walter Wallace Jr., Kevin Peterson, Ricardo Munoz, Casey Godson, Beanie Sanders, Andre Hill, and Dalal Id, who just recently passed on December 30th. So my point is, we got a lot more work to do. We got a lot more work to do when it comes to social injustice. All black men, or Hispanic even, because Ricardo Munoz was a Puerto Rican person. So people of color, we got to do better when it comes to social injustice. And I will not let that die as long as there's breath in his body, to speak out about it and to speak our piece, because once it dies out, then there's no one else to point it or bring it to life. So I definitely want to get that out there. And then when it comes to season 2, I got a laundry list of people that I want to shout out. So shout out to every new artist, every new guest that contributed to season 2. And I'm going to read their name off one by one. Bruce, William James Boyd, my brother Matt Dalby. So shout out to you, Matt. 36 and Brimstone, Vita, B-Wise, Mac Xavier, Mr. and Mrs. We Fit Sports, Ashton and Tyrone, my folks here in Kansas City, Holly on Demand, a hip hop rapper from Brooklyn, New York, Nick Gibbs, Johnny TGV, the good villain. It's K Simone from Hot 107.9 in Atlanta, Georgia. Dion Brown, Kinfolk the Plug, and Samantha, of course. And last but not least, the one who keeps me grounded is the Queen. Queen Jess, I cannot do this without you, babe. So thank you so much for pushing our platform as far as we can go. And another thing I want to mention is, for those of you who are watching or listening, that our female presence has expanded 200% from season 1 to season 2. So ladies, if you're watching, if you want to be part of the podcast, feel free, reach out to us, fit us in. Sam, we're going to have you come back. You can believe that for season 3. Season 3 is going to be mean. More to follow with that, so be staying tuned with the channel. And since we have been on the audio podcast, so actual podcasting itself, we have had 6,000 downloads since the channel launched on September 11th, which is unprecedented, you guys. 6,000 downloads and counting. So thank you to our fans, followers, and supporters supporting us from all over the world. Huge shout out to our fans in India that listen to us all the time. So shout out to you guys, and tune in to the channel on January 7th. January 7th is when we're going to start a new spinoff series called The New Class, which will give you a showcase of independent artists that we are going to be showcasing throughout all of 2021. So you all get a chance to see a lot of our independent artists. And we have a really, really great first show to kick that off. So be in tune for that later on this week.
Check the mic
And
and make
that
sure it
is
sound
all
right,
that I have,
boys.
you guys, for season 2. So thank you all to our followers, our supporters. Shout out to Matt, shout out to Sam, and of course, and as always, shout out to HipHop. We'll see you guys in season 3. All right, peace and love. 100.
It sound right.